I've worked with CEOs who were not always healthy with their people. A lot of people had burnout. A lot of people had to recover from some truly awful experiences. And someone had left the team. She was actually just going on bigger and better things type of thing. And I checked in with her at the end of it. Of course, there was like an exit form and everything. But I was like, hey, I really want to be like, let's be honest right now. Was there anything, whether it was me, anyone else on the team, anything with the systems, anything, let's just audit for a second if you're okay with that. And she was like, yeah. She goes, I'm going to be really honest. I didn't want to work with the CEO. And I went to the CEO and I was like, yeah, she was not happy. She did not want to work with you. And they're like, oh, well, then she should have said something and did it. I was like, no. You should have facilitated that. You are the leader.
Taylor Davis.
Yes.
Welcome to the Elite League podcast.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. We're going to get right to it.
Okay.
You're the master at building culture in organizations and bringing the spice, the fun, the vibe into any ecosystem.
Okay. That's the most. I've never heard anybody describe me that way before, but yes.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I gleaned from our first conversation. And what would you say, based off your current clientele base, the people that you're actively speaking with, what do you think is the number one thing that your clients don't know?
About culture specifically?
Culture specifically.
I think that most people don't know that, like, as the CEO, as the leader, as the person that's setting up the business, it does come from the top down. We start to get into businesses and we build them, and we build, whether it's teams or whether you're just starting or you've been running a business for a long time. I don't think a lot of people realize that, like, you and your energetic state as the leader is what is affecting everything in the company. And so I always say when I work with people, I'm like, we need to go through a process. It's what's going on with you. It's the CEO, and then the systems, and then the processes, and then you look at your people. Because if you haven't set the standards as the CEO, if you haven't looked at yourself and go, okay, what's energetically not right with me? What's out of alignment? Whatever it is, where am I not taking radical responsibility? It's going to trickle down into everybody in your company. And it's like, whether it's you hired those people or the systems that you set up or the processes that you decided to put into place, whatever that is, it all comes from you to a degree. Even if you hired someone to do it, you still hired that person. And so it's like really being able to take that responsibility and look at, hey, where do I need to show up differently? Where am I setting a standard with my energy that's affecting my culture on a massive level?
So let's say somebody wants to tap into that. How do you help them?
How do it tap into how you set the standard in your company?
Yes, the self-reflection.
I mean, you got to get really real of how much can I like swear on this project?
As much as you want.
Okay. You got to get really real of like how the fuck you're showing up, and do an inventory, like audit what's going on. Don't just audit like outside of you. Audit, well, am I communicating clearly? Am I following up with people in a correct amount of time? And by correct amount of time, I mean, like, if you have business things, it can't take 2 or 3 weeks for you to follow up with people. Like, where is the leaky energy that's causing this dysfunction? If you want to look at your business, go, okay, well, what has been happening inside of my business that is causing, it just feels funky to me. I don't like it. I don't like what's going on. Oh, I don't like this person because this has happened, or they're not following up fast enough, or like whatever it is. And you start doing an audit and making a list of what's going on and why it feels not good for you. And then look at it and flip at it and goes, okay, well, based on what's not feeling good for me on this list, where do I actually need to change and set a new standard? Because it's your leaky energy most of the time that's creating that. And it can be from the best intentions. You can have someone on your team where you're like, well, I'm trying to promote their growth and I want them to take responsibility and things. But sometimes you taking over responsibility is what's causing them not to take responsibility. It's not where you're not communicating or something like that. That's actually could be causing a lot of dysfunction. So look at what you don't like in your business, assess it, audit, and then flip it and go, okay, well, how is this actually my responsibility? What am I doing that could be causing this? And then when you go through that and you start shifting, whether it's how you communicate or it's how you operate or it's how you make decisions, or it's where you're in places where you're not supposed to be in there, but you haven't let go of control, or maybe even where you're abdicating leadership, those things, you need to go, okay, and get real and be like, okay, maybe I need to hire somebody to take over this part. Maybe I need to really clearly outline what my standards are and what my expectations are. Because a lot of people go, oh, it's really clear what I want. And I go, you think that it's clear what you want, but your standards are not clear. I actually have people write down integrity statements, which is like what you live your life by. Because if I write down my integrity statements, and I have several myself, and I run my company by them, that
What's an
means,
example of an integrity statement?
yeah. So if it's not pleasurable, it's not sustainable, is one of mine.
Hmm.
I live my life by that. Or working hard is not required, the right kind of effort is. So knowing that those are two of my integrity statements, I live my life by them, which means that not only do I check myself, but my team also does too. So if we're in the middle of a conversation and we go, I'm like, okay, well, we need to do this thing, and then we have this on our list and all this stuff. My team can look at me and go, Taylor, are we working hard right now? Or is this the right kind of effort? Are we putting effort in the right places where it's actually going to be a lever that will change the direction of what we're doing and make it easier for us in the long term? And so using those integrity statements, because integrity, and it's not just a core value or it's like freedom on the wall of culture. And I'm like, what does that even mean?
Right.
You know, you get to look at what you're basing your entire company on, get very specific with it, and then you get to hold yourself accountable to it. Your team gets to hold you accountable, your culture beyond even internal culture, but whatever you're putting out into the world, people get to hold you accountable to that as well. Because if you say one of your core values is transparency, but you're doing stuff behind the scenes that is definitely not transparent, you're out of integrity. So outlining, like looking at what is going on in your company, in your life where it feels funky, writing down that list, doing that audit, being really ridiculously like rigorous with it and honest of where you're not showing up. And then going, okay, well, actually, what do I believe in? What values do I actually have? Turning them into integrity statements and then making that something that you build your foundation on. And then people can hold you accountable to it as well.
That's a system of its own.
Yeah.
Looking where you're at.
Yeah.
And then coming up with your integrity statements, implementing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's leadership too, because I can say all day long that I believe in freedom, but what does freedom mean to me versus what it means to you? And if we have two different versions of what freedom is, well, I could have an employee or a contractor who thinks freedom is working whenever they want at any time. But me as a leader, I could think that it means, oh, well, no, they need to be available from 9 to 5 during this time. They can work whenever, but it has to be during these hours. We have different definitions of what freedom looks like inside of a corporation, a business, whatever it is. And so we really need to define what that looks like, what those integrity statements are, what that looks like. And then everybody's clear and on the same page, and you'll attract the right people because you have that. And then your culture will be a lot healthier because of it.
When I hear you speak about this, it seems like standards equals culture. When I think of culture, I think of like what kind of, if you were to paint a picture of a company, each one would have something different. Obviously, the military, right? If I were to paint a picture of the military's culture, I'd see camouflage everywhere. Mm-hmm. How does that apply to each individual business? How do you make sure that other than standards, they're artistically expressing their culture?
Do you mean like through their branding? Like, what do you mean specifically?
Yeah, through their branding. Or if they're a company that, like if they say, we give back. Okay. Well, how do you ensure that they actually are living that out or systematize all that?
So depending on whatever it is that let's say it's a give back type of thing. Mm-hmm. I would, as someone who would come in and assess what's going on in a business, then being like, okay, here's the leaky energy and what we need to shift to be able to make that transition. I would be like, okay, well, you say let's give back. I would go, we really need to define what that looks like. And then make it as transparent as possible. I think one of the biggest problems that we have is that it's not transparent.
Yeah, how do you make it transparent? What do? You have pictures on the wall in your office of people like giving things?
I mean,
if you're an employee at a company, yeah, how is it transparent in their face if we're known to be a company that gives back?
I mean, there's the obvious of like, okay, well, is it in your marketing material? Is it on your website? Is it in your training when you actually bring people into your company? And then you get really even more specific. Okay, well, this is how we give back. This is how you can get involved. Let's say it's a 9 to 5 corporation, right?
Yep.
And they're like, okay, well, we give back. And you go, amazing. Well, what does that look like as an employee? Well, in their, whether it's their job interview. It's on your website. It's in their onboarding. You have that outline. Go, actually, we work with like 3 different charities and we do 6 different events throughout the year. We actually invite people inside of the company to join these certain committees to be able to give back to these charities because this is what it means and looks like for us. So you encourage people to join that in the onboarding process so you know that you're part of it. But then it can't just be pretty things on a website. It can't just be like, oh, I say this and then you never follow through, because that's one of the biggest problems that we have is you can say that you're like a nonprofit company, but we really know that you're not, which I've been in one of those. It was a long time ago. And a lot of people do want to get involved, and it's like, but the opportunities are not given to them to be able to do that, and they don't make it easy to be able to do that. And in the culture that you facilitate, if you're like, oh yeah, well, we give back, it's like, well, no, but you have to encourage people from the get-go. If you're like, why aren't people getting involved? Give them an incentive to get involved. Or if you're not setting it up on the right, like in the very beginning, from the beginning of, hey, we get involved this way, or we do these things throughout the year, and like, it's just a big part of our culture, you're probably not attracting the right people who even want to get involved. And there's just dysfunction between what you're saying and how you're acting, which is out of integrity as well. And so a lot of the times whenever I look at, like, let's look at Google, for example. Google is very apparent publicly, privately. Like, I know people who work at Google that they're very apparent of what they're doing, why they're doing it. They give the incentives of like, whether it's food, whether it's certain hours, flexibility to work from home. They have chefs in some of the buildings. They have different areas to play, to work, like to build that culture so people can show up. Why? Because they believe and they know, which, I don't know why more people don't know this, that when people are happy and satisfied, they will work harder and they'll actually show up and want to be at that job. And then they won't want to give back, because then they start committees where they talk about, supporting women, and then having that committee and people like, well, I do want to be able to support women because I'm, this month's all about like financial literacy, or this next month is about home building, like whatever it is. People get excited because they have the capacity to do so and they are encouraged to do so. And you can do that through many different ways in your company. But you have to, your people have to have capacity. If you're working them to the bone and you don't set up the culture from the very beginning, you don't pay them well, like whatever, there's multiple factors there. They're not going to have the capacity to go and give back because they're running on empty themselves.
Sure.
So how are you feeding and overnourishing your people so that way they can also give to others? Because you can't pour from an empty cup, as cliche as that is. But if you're operating your business from I have 4 different levels. If you're operating your business from survival or energetic minimum, people don't have the capacity to go and give back if that's what you say is something is important to you. So you really need to audit what's going on. If you have a company that's like overflow and grow, or I call it holy fuck yes, but it's thriving. If you have in those 2 areas, like you pay your people well, they're able to show up, you believe in giving back, you give them the capacity to give back, and then you give them the opportunity to do so. And so there's different factors that go into whether or not they even have the capacity to do that. And if it's important for you that you say you give back, then you need to give them the parameters to be able to do that.
Sure.
It's a big part of it.
Yeah, clearly there's multiple factors to all this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I know there's a mission, vision, value for all companies, and core values, a lot of other good stuff. Is there like a culture statement? Do people have this? Like, hey, this is who we are.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny because I think like personal brands now are more, we talk about like there's corporate world. Okay. And then there's entrepreneur world. And entrepreneur world has gotten taken over a lot by like personal brands. And with those personal brands, the person and how they behave and what they believe in becomes that statement.
Right.
So whether it's like Alex Hermosi, he's very big right now. Anyone who's like that, that from his personal brand and who he is setting the standard for the culture and what that's like. And so certain statements that he makes, the way he behaves, the energy of, I'm just going to call it like the gym bro energy that he has, that is going to permeate through everything in his culture, whether or not he makes like an overarching statement or not. Because here's the thing, you can make an overarching statement of like a mission, but it's like, how are you actually implementing that? And you can say one thing and be another, and that's where it gets out of integrity. So the overarching mission statement is beautiful. Having a vision is incredibly beautiful, but like you have to have all different parts to be able to make it come to life fully.
Do you have like a map of this when it comes to the different parts of a culture?
I mean, there have been people who have studied this, but For me, whenever I sit down with somebody, I always say, and once again, this is varying based on different levels, but I always say, let's sit down and go, what's your, I call it a turn on vision. What's your vision for the company, for your life, for how you want to feel, for whatever it is that's so powerful, it pulls you forward where you're like, oh my God, I would love to have that company where people come in every day and they love showing up and they're just, everybody's laughing and like it's so collaborative and community is so important to me. And when people start talking about that vision, things come out of like, oh, okay, well, there's little pieces that we need to pull out. And when you look at it, you go, okay, if that's the kind of feeling you want to have in your company, we need to reverse engineer what that looks like and then be able to set up the standards, set up the integrity statements, figure out what those things are. We need to be able to set up the systems and the processes. And then when you have all of those things set up, now the systems and processes can come along because you're going to have to hire some people for that. But when you actually walk through those pieces, you can hire the right people because they're attracted to that vision once you catalyze it and turn it into something that you can share, which is where branding comes in. It's where, culture decks come in. It's where whatever it is that
What's a culture deck?
well, you can have it's just like a PowerPoint slide deck when someone actually wants to get hired or you have an onboarding part of it. And it's like, okay, we're going to go through our entire culture. We're going to go through our company and here's our mission. Here's our vision. Here's what we believe in. We're going to be this in 3 years or 5 years or 10 years. Here's our integrity statements. Here's how we embrace those integrity statements. Here's the different parts of our, what's the word that I'm looking for? Oh my goodness. I cannot remember what the corporate phrase for this is, but it's like the managers and then who's the hierarchy. Yes, thank you. I cannot remember what that was. And then to be able to like see how everything works together and flows, because all of this contributes to we're building something beyond just bringing in more money or a paycheck, and it becomes something very powerful for people. And so, what is that turn on vision? What is that thing for your company? How do you actually want your company to feel? Because you can say, oh, well, I want to make, $20 billion, but I'm like, yeah, but at the expense of what? Like, are we going to sit down and talk about what that looks like and how people feel when they come to work every day for you? And so vision, standards, systems, processes, and the people that are going to actually bring it to life as well.
How would you describe the transformation you see in the companies that you work with?
I usually work with smaller to medium-sized companies. I tend to stay a little bit out of the corporate world, but I did used to work there. And I think that what I've seen when I've built teams and when I really look at the way that CEOs light up when they're like, oh, wow, okay, they start to feel a little bit different. They're like, oh, yeah, this is what I wanted for my company. Or like there's just this energy that starts to come alive in them again.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, well, we're making this much this year. Oh, well, we hit this goal. Oh, yeah, well, I want to write my book. Like whatever it is, right? I'm like, okay, but where do you want to go? How do you want to feel? What do you want your people to be? Like, what influence do you want to have on the world? And when they drop into that pleasure and that excitement, they get lit up again. And they're like, yeah, I want that. That's what I want. And the money, it becomes part of it rather than the whole goal overall. And so transformation wise, not only did they get excited about what they're now transforming into and what they can grow into versus just like the next number that they're trying to hit. But when you actually look at, oh, okay, they're like, oh, we're going to have this amazing team where I have designers that are working and I have someone that's running the company besides me. And then suddenly they feel this familiarity of this community inside of their own culture where it's not just them. Or they have this team that maybe they're burnt out or something like that. They're like, no, I want them to feel invigorated again and excited. Well, then you get really clear on that. And because you get that clarity, you're able to make very sound, structured decisions, precise decisions where you go, okay, well, these things need to go then. And whether that's the systems or it's bloated processes or it's whatever it is, those things need to get cut. And then we need to look at, are these people that are in the right place? And you look at the team that you have and you're like, is this the team that feels like the team that you saw in your vision? Well, yeah, it does. But I feel like they're, they just haven't been given the creative freedom that they want to have. Okay, amazing. And so you get to really like dissect in some ways the company that you have. And transformation wise, not only they get lit up and they get excited, but they cut a lot of the, I'm going to say like trim the fat. They get rid of a lot of the bloat that has just kind of been slowing them down, that it builds up. That's just what happens. And they simplify. And then from that, they're able to stabilize a lot better. And then if they want to scale faster because a lot of the people that I work with, they go from like clarify. That's so funny. Every time I get in this conversation, this comes up because when I work with entrepreneurs, what I always see is everybody's obsessed with scaling, especially when it comes to business, and that usually at the expense of their culture a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, they've clarified or they've simplified whatever it is they're working through. And then they go, okay, but we need to scale. We got to scale. And they start to focus on that. And I'm like, yeah, you're missing a whole phase. So it's clarify, stabilize, expand, clarify, stabilize, expand. Oh, and it's kind of a spiral. It just keeps going. You just keep doing it over and over and over again. But a lot of people skip the stabilization phase. And by skipping that stabilization phase, their culture starts to crack. Their people don't want to work for them anymore. Then they start leaving in drove. They can't find good people. Their systems break down, whatever it is, because when you scale doesn't just mean more money. It means the cracks in the boat start to show. And then you're like sitting there trying to plug holes versus being like, okay, actually, we need to just simplify a little bit and then stabilize what we're doing and then be able to scale. And so when they do that scaling, it's a beautiful thing if you want it to be something that you focus on, but you do it sometimes at the expense of your culture, of your people, of your reputation,
Yeah.
of your mental health. And so, like, I really look at people when it's like when you want to have a good culture, we need to be able to look at all three of those phases for the longevity of your business.
So scaling seems to be a roadblock, a hurdle for culture building.
Mm-hmm.
What about the work from home movement? How do you create culture if everybody's working from home? Is it possible?
I mean, yeah, I think it's possible. I built teams that worked all over the world. I worked with an agency and got to hire and also had to fire people that were, didn't work. And I think that it's so funny because I use human design to look at teams and to be able to build them. And when I know how someone works really well, I'm like, oh, okay, I know how to encourage that. And there are certain things that you can do with the work from home. And a lot of people are studying this and they're getting into this. But with the work from home and with the teams that I've built, making them actually feel like a family and like that you have their back and that you're with them, and you can put certain things, like I used to do sprints in place. I used to do like working sprints. So we would do like a 2-week sprint every month or a 1-week sprint every month. And we would have like 2 or 3 days out of the week where we just get on together and we would laugh a little bit and we would come together, we would work, and then we would get off and go live our lives. And so the work from home, there's little things that you can do to create that camaraderie, that community sense and that feeling that we don't need to be in the office, 40 hours a week or anything like that, but you can still create that community. And also, like, as a leader inside of, I was the COO to a couple of people, and being the right hand, I was also someone who would set that standard and building that work from home energy of like the people that I worked with, they knew I had their back. I was like, okay, you can come to me at any time. That feeling of being able to come to me at any time and actually facilitating that more and more, not just being like, oh, my door is open, just come whenever, but actually being like, hey, what's going on? Like, I know something's happening. Like, can we talk about what's going on right now? Or I'm sensing that you might be a little overworked. Like, I just saw certain things and I would bring them up instead of just waiting for them to always come to me. And facilitating that type of relationship makes all the difference when it comes from work from home. And it does create a tremendously different culture, because when you are working from home, and this can happen even in offices, but it feels like the separation where it's like, nope, I just got to put my head down. I got to get my work done. I got to do the thing. And there are so many people who are like, yeah, but then people don't like checking on me. They're like, oh, you good? But they don't actually want to like fully be like, hey, so I've noticed that you seem really tired. Like, do you want to talk? Do you want to come sit down and let's just like have a coffee? It's nothing to do with work. That can happen online. And you can facilitate that type of leadership and that type of energy and culture inside of your...
Is that something that can be systematized from whoever the leader is?
What do you mean by systematized?
Systematized, like do they put something on their calendar once a week to do actual check-ins with people? Or is it based off how they intuitively experience the people that they're working with?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that if you don't have check-ins, and I don't just mean like, oh, a quarterly, like, let's review your progress, like, how they do in corporate, like, let's hear that. I think that if you don't have like staples, it doesn't have to be every week, but, every month or so, where you get to just be like, hey, I have these office hours, or I'm just going to intentionally sit down with someone for like 30 minutes and just see how they're doing. That's great. For me, I was more of on the intuitive side of things. We would have like a biweekly team meeting for some of my clients. And I just would notice certain things. you can tell when people are distracted, or you can tell when people are tired. You can sense their energy when they're not quite there.
Mm.
And it's not as hard as people say it is.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can definitely tell. And so all it takes is like a second to then reach out to the person and be like, hey, can I just talk to you for like 5 minutes after? Or do you have some time this week to just chat a little bit? Like nothing's wrong. I just want to make sure you're good and check in and, that type of thing. And even if there's nothing that they have to tell you, you created a container for them to just sit with you and get to know you a little bit more, and then create and build that trust. And because I was able to do that with a lot of my team members, and I've worked with CEOs who were not always healthy with their people. So a lot of people had burnout. A lot of people had to recover from some truly awful experiences. I was able to rebuild that trust and then be like, no, you need to take care of yourself. So what can we do to facilitate you taking care of yourself? Oh, okay. How's your mom doing? Oh, yeah, my mom was in the hospital. I needed to do this. I'm like, cool. Why don't you just like go and take some time to do something fun this week? And like, you have time to get that done. Don't worry. And just giving people that permission to be like, it's all going to work out. It's going to be okay. I'm here if you need it. And then checking in on them if you know something's going on. This seems so simple, but so many people don't do it. They're just
Yeah.
like, oh, they're good. They're adults. They can go. They'll let me know if something's going on. And I'm like, no, they won't.
Nope.
They won't. I had one client. This was a couple of years ago, and someone had left the team. She was actually just going on bigger and better things, type of thing. And I checked in with her at the end of it. Of course, there was like an exit form and everything, but I was like, hey, I really want to be like, let's be honest right now. You're leaving, so obviously, like, there was never any fear, but I know that when people leave, there's like a definitely no fear. I was like, I honestly want to know, was there anything, whether it was me, anyone else on the team, anything with the systems, anything, let's just audit for a second if you're okay with that. And she was like, yeah. She goes, I'm gonna be really honest. I didn't want to work with the CEO. There was this situation where she was like, she expected so much more, and she was like, oh, well, you can just come to me whenever. And she was like, but I didn't feel that from her. She said it, but I didn't feel it. And I went to the CEO and I was like, yeah, she was not happy. She did not want to work with you. And I will point blank tell people this. Like, I'm not afraid to do that. And they're like, oh, well, then she should have said something and did it. I was like, no, no, no. You should have facilitated that. You are the leader. We are all adults, yes, and they do need to be able to come to you. But if you're not facilitating a culture where you actually seem like you care, and it can't just be like, oh, well, I care. I talk about this thing where I care. And it's like, yeah, but do you know what's going on with her dad? Did you know that she had surgery scheduled next month? Did you know that she had a hysterectomy? Did you know that he just lost his mom? Like, it's just people. Like, you need to actually care about the people around you.
Yeah.
And I think too that right now there's a lot of things shifting with being an entrepreneur, with just work from home, with cultures in general, and people aren't taking it anymore. Like, if they're not satisfied at work, they're gone.
Yep.
And it's not about like, oh, well, I can't just give them the reins or whatever it is. But there's certain rhetoric that's going around right now where it's like, oh, if you don't like work-life balance, well, probably shouldn't come here. And I'm like, that's not very innovative. Like, if you don't know how to do work-life balance, go hire somebody that knows how to do it. There are entire people who know how to build this into cultures. And just ask who, not how. It's Benjamin Hardy, right? Who has done this?
I'm reading that right now.
Such a good book.
Literally right now.
Love Benjamin Hardy. He's like one of my favorite authors. And it's like, if you don't know how to facilitate that in a culture, or if you don't know how to, figure out, okay, well, what is work-life balance? How do I add that in? It's like, okay, well, who has done this before? Let me just go talk with them. Let me have a 30-minute conversation. Let me hire them, whatever it is. And figure that out. Because if you're a millionaire, not even a billionaire, you're a millionaire. If you're a billionaire, you better have figured this out by now. If you are a millionaire and you have a company and you have a culture and you have more, like, anybody working for you, you need to figure out work-life balance. And I don't just mean like, oh, well, they need to be the same. That's not what I'm meaning. It's an integration experience. It's looking at, am I feeding my people the way that they are feeding my business? Because there are so many entrepreneurs right now that are like, not my problem. And I'm like, it is your problem. It is a problem. And you saying, oh, well, I can't figure out work-life balance, or like, oh, yeah, that's just not going to happen in my company or whatever it is because they need to grind and put their head down. I'm like, you're not an innovative leader if you say that. You're very ineffective, actually, because this is a very real thing in cultures. And we are in a society now where we have access to technology, where we don't need to go work for somebody else. We can make our own money. And when people have options, they don't have to work for you. So they're choosing companies where companies actually give a damn, where the culture is fun to work in, where they love their team members, where they can passionately put effort into whatever it is they're building. And they will do that. People, when they are passionate about things, they will put their nose down. They will just bang out whatever it is. And how fulfilled they feel is amazing. But it's like if you're already telling them from the get go, eh, better just not get used to that. It's like you're not setting up a culture that's actually effective. You're being very ineffective as a leader.
Let's take a quick moment to shout out the people making big moves in real estate, the elite residential group at Keller Williams Realty. With over 90 million in sales volume and more than 300 families helped, they're one of the top real estate teams in Central Texas for a reason. Whether you're buying, selling, or just figuring out your next step, they make the process simple and centered around your priorities.
Greg and his small team have been absolutely crushing the Austin real estate market, producing incredible numbers.
He is always responsive, he's always on point, he never misses anything.
I would highly recommend him for anybody looking to buy or sell in the Austin, Texas area.
Hit the link in the description to book your free consultation. If you're a leader, if you're talking to somebody that's a leader right now that might be listening to this, what is something that they can easily remember when stepping foot into the office tomorrow to ensure that they're treating people appropriately based off of what we just talked about?
I always say, like, just don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Just don't be a dick. Like, it's really not that hard. That's one thing. One of my integrity statements, like the last one, is like, just don't be a dick.
That's helpful. And something I'm thinking about also is they don't treat everyone like that. There's people in their lives that they care about. They want to know more about them. And I think that there's a block for some reason to where they choose not to treat everyone that way. There's like perhaps a limiting belief. Maybe it's a trust thing. Like, oh, what's the point in really investing in these people if they can just get up and leave tomorrow?
I mean, investing in these people will make them not get up and leave tomorrow.
But for some reason,
yeah, but like
subconscious is telling them otherwise.
Yeah, part of me thinks that's like old. Part of it's like old rhetoric from just like how our parents were raised, and it is starting to die off now because we're seeing so many of the changes. But like, I think that if I've just never had that thought. I think whenever I have worked with someone, I'm like, I want them to be satisfied. Like, why would I not want that? And maybe that's the question that leaders need to ask themselves. Is like, why wouldn't I want my people to be satisfied?
What are some of the reasons that they gave you? I don't know. You probably don't ask them that question, right? That would be an obscure question. But maybe excuses to where, oh, I never thought of it like that. Or, anything along those lines. What do they say?
Oh, I don't have time for that.
Time. Okay.
Which, I mean, if you're making a ton of money, you do. And if you don't have time, you really need to look at what's happening for you to not have time.
Yeah.
Like, there's like 4 different types of freedom, and time freedom is one of them. And if you have money, you can make time freedom. And if you can't, it means you need to look at the systems and the processes and the ways that you have things set up to be able to create more time freedom. I think that another reason why people don't, like leaders, if I can call them that, don't look at that is because it's inconvenient. And it's very comfortable where they are, where people are making money for them. And it's like, you need to inconvenience yourself a little bit because people are like, oh yeah, I'm going to leave a legacy, and I'm going to leave this thing where I'm always going to be known for this person who made all this money and everything. And I'm like, you making money does not make you a leader. It means you know how to make money at this thing that you made money at. That doesn't mean that you're a leader. And it's very comfortable where they are for them to not have to look at things because they've relied on people needing a job or needing a paycheck or not saying something, not being told something about themselves because people don't want to like piss them off or whatever it is. And it's like, you need to get really real with the effect, like, because the effect that you're going to have on the world.
Let's say I'm talking to you about this for the first time and I go, but why? Do I really have to? Why?
I mean, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as somebody that changed the world, that, I made a lot of money and I made an impact on the world.
What kind of impact?
I really want to help the people, the African cultures that might not be able to get water.
Okay, well, how are you giving water to the people who are working for you first?
Gosh, I'm not. They'd come to work. I say hello, and everybody gets to work and goes home afterwards.
Yeah. How much do you know about them? The people that work for you.
I don't really know anything about them, actually.
Right. So we need to start there.
But I'm busy.
Yeah. Okay.
Busy. I don't have enough time.
Cool. So we need to hire someone to take the things off that are making you busy, because busy doesn't mean productive. Busy means that there's probably things on your schedule that you think you need to be doing when you actually don't need to be doing. So we should hire somebody to take those things off your plate that you're probably holding on to that you don't need to focus a little bit of your effort onto watering your people, onto getting to know your people. Because if you say you want to make an impact, well, do you want to make a positive impact or a negative impact? Do you want to make an impact with people that are African cultures? But I'm like, but what about your culture at home? You can't give it to them, but not give it to your people. That's hypocritical, and that's out of integrity so much. And so if you're busy, let's look at what's making you busy and then cut the fat and figure out, okay, well, do we need to hire somebody? Do we need to systematize this? Do we need to let go of control a little bit? What is actually requiring your effort? And then can we actually build that in? Because if we're talking about visions and where we want this company to go and all of these things, we need to really think, okay, well, I want to be able to give back to African tribes, like this example that you're saying. It's like, okay, amazing. Well, you can't do that right now because you're so busy, right?
Yeah.
So we got to figure out what's making you busy. And if you have time for that, then you have time for your people.
So you're telling me that if I invest more time in my people, really getting to know them and seeing how I can help, that everything else is going to get better from there?
I think that if you invest time and genuine energy in people, and you have the right people around you, yes, everything does get better. You have loyalty. People will stick around for you. And even if they don't stick around for you because maybe something happens in their life and they have to go elsewhere or whatever it is, they're always going to remember that you were an amazing boss. And then they'll refer you to whoever that maybe they know somebody that will work for you. My first boss right out of college, I am still friends with him to this day because we went into the trenches together in a really awful corporate experience, which was a bad culture. And the reason why we're still friends and the reason why I would work for him again, I would at any point, he's like, hey, I have a job for you. I might be like, yeah, cool, amazing. Like, let's go, because I know him, because he went to the mat for me and I went to the mat for him, because that loyalty for like true heart-centered people, that bridge, like that creates a bridge that for decades it can be. And I will never forget, even if I never talk to him again, which I won't because he's now one of my best friends for like over a decade, I will never forget what he did for me and how he went to the mat for me. And so anytime he needed anything, I'm like, cool, I know somebody, or I'll be there, or, just give me some time. Yep, 1000%. I'll come to your house for this. Absolutely. Because that's how you build true connection. Like you connect. True connection. True connection.
Yeah, I'd say that that's the gold of life. The gold of life. And then the internal gold is your character. I think that when you have nothing, absolutely nothing, what's going to get you by is your character.
And your character is going to set the standards for your company.
Your business grows as much as you do.
Yeah, it does. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that before I go into anything else. Go ahead.
What's the most obscure thing you've had somebody do to develop their own character? You saw a gap and you said, this is what you need to do.
Obscure thing? Like just like a crazy thing that they've done?
That you've prescribed to somebody. Maybe not crazy, but have you like said, hey, you know what? If you really want to see your business thrive, you've got to get a therapist now.
I've told people that, yes.
You have?
Yeah.
Right, because you're raw, you're real. And they're human, and everybody needs help in some way, shape, or form. Is there anything obscure that you've prescribed before?
I've gotten really like direct with people and been like, how do I want to say this? I told them that they needed to stop fucking up as a leader, like point blank.
Yeah, how are they effing up?
So I was working with somebody who was not my direct client. I was like coming in, and basically I saw how they treated their team, and their team had like PTSD at this point. It was really bad. And we were on a call, and the way that that person was speaking to the team and then speaking to the team that I was working with, I was like, no, we're going to stop right now. And I was like, you really need to look at how you're speaking to people right now. And if you want to be a leader in your company, you need to look at yourself in the mirror right now because this is not okay. And we can have another conversation elsewhere if we really need to get deep into this.
And did they take action?
They did.
They
didn't. They didn't like me after that though, which I was fine with.
That's fine.
Yeah, because their team then 4 years came to me and was like, "Thank you so much. Hey, I have someone that I want to work with you. Hey, here's this." Because in that moment, I was the leader that stood up for them when their leader was supposedly not and was running them into the ground. I've also had clients where, I've told a client, I was like, you need to go have some sexy time and get out of the work stuff. I've literally told them, I prescribed them to like go have fun with their partner.
Right.
Because you're too in the work and you need to like pull back. I've had people where I've told them that they need to go and like, there's just small things where it's like, go join a run club.
Yeah.
You need to like physically go move the energy out. I've told people where I'm like, you shouldn't be running a company. You want to show up and facilitate, or you want to write books, or you want to speak on stages. You don't need to be running a company. You need to hire someone to run the company for you. And that's that, because some people can be on stages, but they just can't be leaders of a team.
When you're talking with somebody and you're discovering that they shouldn't be running a company, how long does it take to get to that point?
Before I say something to them, or before I discover that they shouldn't be running a company?
Before you discover it. Because you probably tell them right after you discover it. But how long does it take to get to that point of discovery?
It honestly depends on the person of how quickly I can tell them, because some people don't like to hear that. So I will say that first. In terms of discovery, depends on so let's say I have if I can interview their team, I can find out pretty quickly what's going on. And I could do that within a month. I'll just like audit them. I'll audit their leadership styles. I'll sit in on their meetings, or I'll watch the meetings that have come in the past, because if I'm on the meeting, they'll be at their best behavior, right? But if I can watch past meetings that they've recorded, I can see what's going on. Or I'll look at their Slack channels, or like whatever it is, like whatever communication emails, that type of thing. And from there I can go, oh, okay, I get it. So this is the communication style that's happening right now. Or, oh, this is what's going on with the team members. And here's the common denominator that all the team members, and none of them are like coming together all at once telling me, I'm individually interviewing them. Like that's another example. But I can usually figure that out like in the first month. It doesn't take much.
Yeah, because it's a big decision. It's a big statement to tell somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. For the statement, and I also need to get to know the person more. Because if I'm coming in to audit a business and go, okay, what's going on? Whether I audit like the systems or the processes or the people or them as a leader, the leadership one is always the most dicey, because nobody wants to be told that they're not showing up the best as a leader, or how can they show up better. There are some people who, and I love this approach when I get to work with these people, is they're like, please just tell me. Like, I can't figure this out. And I don't know if it's something that I'm doing, or it's something that am I not saying things right? Am I not holding people accountable differently? Like, what is it? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to be really honest with you. Let me go through this, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to sit down, and we're going to go through this. And I was like, but you need to be prepared, because I'm very honest. I'm not going to mince words. And I prepare people for that.
Good.
I'm like, I'm not just coming in. Otherwise, you're not going to want to work with me.
Best time to give feedback is when people give you permission to give feedback.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. 1000%. Well, and if you're hiring me to come in and figure out what's going on and audit your entire business, it's like you've in some ways given me that feedback. But it's like, do you actually want this to change? Because if all 8 of your employees or 20 of your employees are all telling me a similar thing about you, you are the common denominator. We need to figure out what is going on there. And even if it's not you, like they could not be doing anything bad. So let's go like switch to a different example, right? Yeah. I've had leaders where they just don't communicate clearly, and it's never of ill intent. It's never of a bad thing or anything like that. They just have a different thing in their mind versus what they're saying, and the expectations are not clearly outlined. And so when I sit down with a team, for example, and I'll ask them different questions, what comes up is like, well, yeah, she said she wanted this, but then when we were on a call, it was completely different. Or, he said he wanted this thing, and then he laid out all the terms, but then it was completely different, like by the end of it. And I was like, okay. And I would have to sit down with people and be like, okay, so what I'm seeing, and is the common denominator, is that you think that you're being very clear, but then you say like 4 different things. Here's the examples of what I mean. And I'll actually go back and like get specific examples to show them. And so some people are like, oh, that's not what I meant, or oh, I didn't mean that, or like, and they're just kind of, it just comes up. It's very human nature. And I was like, yes, I totally get that that's not what you meant. And at the same time, like, this is a pattern now. And every one of your people, your contractors, are telling me that this is a sticky point in how they show up. So even if it was never of ill intent, it's just a thing. It's a challenge. It's an obstacle. So let's just figure out how we can move through it. And they're like, okay, how do we do that? And then we can sit down and we figure out a plan. And then we start to adjust how their behavior is or how they're approaching it, or maybe they don't even need to be doing it. Or, for example, if it's like a communication thing, we might sit down and be like, okay, so what are your expectations for this type of project? Let's say it's like social media randomly. They're like, okay, well, I expect X, Y, and Z. I'm like, cool, we're going to write down everything. And I mean everything. I'm going to ask you questions. We're going to create that standard. We're going to, it's not like an SOP where it's like a document step by step, but it's like, this is my expectations of this because I want to be able to see this type of return on this social media channel. And knowing the reason why they want those things, well, I feel better when I see 3 or 4 posts a week, or I know that these posts do really well, or I really want to be able to hit 100K from revenue from social media. Like, knowing what the goals are, knowing why they're wanting to do this the certain way, knowing the feeling that's behind it, the team is actually able to go, oh, okay, well, I have expectations to meet and I can go above and beyond. Amazing. And I know her style and how she wants to do it or how he wants to do it. But also at the same time, if they know that that person feels safer because they see content going out on social media, it's like, oh, okay, I can create more safety as a person on the team, knowing that she wants updates maybe 2 or 3 times a week. I'll give that idea. Would that help her? Because then you have a collaborative effort from the team, and the team doesn't realize that maybe that person feels unsafe. And is it their job to make you safe? No, but knowing that it doesn't feel good can give them an opportunity to be like, okay, well, but what if I just give you like check-ins on Tuesdays and Fridays? So simple, and it evaporates so much of the dysfunction that happens because we're not communicating clearly what we want or how we feel or what we don't like or what we do like.
Jeez.
There's a lot. There's intricacies all over that.
You're not kidding.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. That's really well articulated, too.
Thank you.
Nice job. We get to play a game.
Oh, cool. Let's do it.
If you want to call it a game. So we have a big old pack of cards.
Mm-hmm.
You get to pick 2.
Oh.
1. 2.
Do I
All right.
pick them?
Go ahead. What's your first card?
Okay. You have 24 hours to get back on your feet with no money, no contacts. What's your first move?
Dang.
Is that for me or for you?
You.
Okay. 24 hours to get back on my feet with no money, no contacts. Ooh, because if I had contacts, that would be my first thing, is to like go to my referrals. So I would assess what I know I'm really good at. That's first thing, is I would look at what is something that has made me, because a goal seems like getting money flowing, right? I'd assess what in the past I've been really good at that has made me money. What do I actually really enjoy? And something that I can like capitalize on myself. It's so freaking easy for me to make money. And I would look at that and I'd go, okay, so based on this, what is something that I can put out, whether it's online or I would do like guerrilla marketing even. I like, depending on what it is, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go on bulletin boards. I'm going to go reach out to Facebook groups. Like, I would go straight to like full on guerrilla marketing and just
door knocking.
Yeah. Maybe not door knocking. I don't like soliciting. That's definitely not one. But being able to look at, okay, whatever I'm really good at that I know that I can just do it in a snap, that's something that I would go all in on, and being able to put into place and then just market the shit out of it.
Okay. So think about what you're good at and turn it into money.
Yeah.
Do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Respect.
Like, for me, it's writing. Like, I know I have great copywriting skills, and that's what I did for years. And writing comes so easily to me, and I can get inside of people's heads really easily.
Yeah.
And whether it's actually 2, I'll do 2 different things. One is organizing and clarifying. Like, I'm so good at just getting in and cutting through the noise and being like, here's what you need to focus on. This is what you need to do. Yeah. I love it. And then copywriting is like an old skill that I have that I just am so good with words. And so either one of those, I would just turn it into an offer. People always need help with that. Clarity and organizing and figuring out the words that they need to say.
Yeah, I think the audience should think about what you're really good at. A lot of people might have trouble dictating that to others. Like, what is it? I'm really good at sales, but why? Why are you good at sales? What about that? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like, can you take that skill set and apply it somewhere else too?
Mm-hmm.
Because you might be like, I'm really good at sales. Well, what about sales are you good at? Oh, I'm really good at talking to people and figuring out what they like and don't like and identifying the problem. Okay, amazing. Can you take that skill set and then go apply it elsewhere?
Exactly.
Whether it's like a brick and mortar business or, you know, I don't know, being your local therapist, not actual therapist, and like setting up a table in the park that you're at and be like, $25, just sit down. I'll hear all your problems. Whatever it is.
I bet people would pay for that.
They would. They would.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You can literally just I've gone to like conferences before and gotten one of those signs, just printed off with a QR code. And I was like, sit down with me. Tell me whatever it is with business. Let's just dive in, or human design. I'm like, let's just dive in. And people in droves will just sit down and do it. And they'll pay for it.
Just thought of something. My friend's he's a high performance coach.
Yeah.
At the next table networking event, I'm going to encourage him to get a table and do on-site coaching sessions.
Yes. It's so fun. It's actually so this is a good guerrilla marketing tactic, is like just go somewhere where there's a lot of people with a table, as long, obviously like permits and stuff, but like, and then just get a sign, make it really clear what you're offering, put your Venmo on there or whatever, like don't make this complicated, and then have people sit down and just do it. And it's so fun because then also if you're recording, if you can set up your phone and get a little mic or whatever, there's a ton of content, and then you just post it on social media and then
you get
clients. Yeah. Yes.
What's your second card?
Second card. Okay. What's one weird daily ritual that secretly makes you unstoppable? Oh, okay. Oh my God. It's like I've just shifted into new rituals too. So I will probably say two different ones. One that I've always applied in my life is like I'll just crazy dance.
Yeah.
Randomly.
Yep.
I have like a whole playlist where it's, I really love the most recent thing that's been on like TikTok or whatever, where it's like depression can't hit a moving target. It's one of my favorite ones. Mm-hmm. And with that, I'm like, you just need to move the energy in your body. Like sometimes we're just sitting and stagnant. And so I will literally just turn on a 2-minute song and dance it out until it's done. And that feels amazing. I just love it.
Yep.
The other one I will say is I just recently fell in love with my like morning rhythm. And I don't say routine, and ritual can feel a little bit heavy sometimes for people. So it's more of a rhythm for me. But I recognized how much my brain needs input when I'm first waking up. Like it wants to feed on something. And so I'm a strategic brain in human design, if you know what that is. And with that, I started feeding it differently. So I somehow got on and I never used to do this. I somehow got on being on my phone in the morning. And I'm like, oh God, this just doesn't feel good. And so about 3 weeks ago, I would say, I started leaving my phone in the living room.
Yeah.
But I was like noticing that as I was sitting down with my coffee in my beautiful backyard with the trees and the deer and everything. And I was like, okay, why is this not feeding me though? Like what, and I realized that I needed some type of book, but it can't be something that is like fiction because I get too lost, and it can't be something that is overly, coachy, like, Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss or anything like that, because it's too much in the morning. And so I got small like poetry and like Marianne Williamson, like just very influencing, like inspiring. And that's what I feed my brain in the morning, just a little bit, just a tiny bit. And my brain calms down. And then I end up journaling a lot. And I didn't used to have that. And so that rhythm with a little bit of like Palo Santo and a candle and then my warm coffee, it's just amazing.
Wow.
So just
sounds so relaxing.
So relaxing. And it allows my body to wake up. It allows my brain to wake up. And it's just very simple. Because I am just not the person in the routine videos, in the morning routines. It's like gets up and goes for a walk or like works out. That's just not me.
Jeff Bezos, he just chills till 10.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, till 10.
Just reads the newspaper, eats breakfast.
Yeah, I mean, he's at a point now where he can do that, considering.
Right, you talked about that. If you got money, you can get time.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if you have money and you don't have time, you really need to assess your life.
Dang.
You do, because it's like...
See this? This is the kind of feedback we all need to hear.
Yeah.
Straight shot to the... Ooh.
I have no problem being that person. I love just...
The world needs more people like that.
Thank you. Yeah. I think leaders are... There's a new realm of leaders that are coming out, which I'm really excited about, where satisfaction is the standard, not survival anymore. And leaders are actually thinking about not only the impact they want to make on the world or amount of money that they want to make or even the legacy that they want to leave. It's like, how do they want to live and how do they want to inspire people? And I think that's why I'm so passionate about culture when you create it, because it's not just about money or the next goal or whatever it is. It's the impact that you have on people right now. And I don't know, I just the entrepreneurs that are coming out now and the people in the world that are setting that standard and causing entrepreneurs to now have to not acquiesce, but like get with the picture.
Sure.
I love that about people. I love that employees and contractors and everybody in the world is like, no, we actually want to enjoy our life. And so corporate giants as well as entrepreneurs are having to figure out culture now, which is I think is beautiful.
It actually alludes to my next question. Why is it that you do what you do?
Oh my goodness. Well, my brand is wildly satisfied. And the reason I do what I do is because I watched my dad growing up work so hard for his family. And I remember, and I always tell this story, I remember when I was like 7, 8 years old and he came in and he was a mechanic, still a mechanic, and he was so tired. And I remember walking up to him as like a little 7-year-old Taylor, and I was like, Dad, you should quit your job. You don't look happy. Just,
Kids can tell.
I know. And the wisdom of children of like, if you're not happy, just quit. Like, And I remember my dad looking at me, and this is probably not something you want to tell a 7-year-old. He's like, Taylor, that's just not how the world works. You have to go to school, go to a job, pay bills, and die. And that's just how it is. So very, yes. And my dad, love you, Dad, if you're listening to this. I remember looking at him and being like, no, I think you should just be happy. And then I like gave him a kiss and like skipped off or whatever. I always think back to that. He probably doesn't even remember it because if I think about my entire life and the work that I've done, the like through line is people just should be happy. They should enjoy the life that they have and the time that they have here. And I've always loved working. I have always loved just businesses and different ways of life that contribute to the people around them. And I think that the more that you are satisfied in the people that you're around, in the companies that you work for, in the way that you live your life, you'll get to the end of your life and be like, I lived a really great life. And, I studied abroad in Italy. I got a taste of what living there was. And it was like, they worked so they could live. They don't live to work. And so all of these things came together for me to really look at whether it was the culture, the work that I was doing, how I was living my life, other people. I wanted to look at it and be like, there's a better way. We can be more satisfied. And at the same time, I looked at when I got into the entrepreneurship world, there is such power in entrepreneurs, in leaders of companies. There is such beautiful power that they have that sometimes they don't realize that they have. That you as the leader are setting a standard for decades, if not centuries to come. Gary Vee, Alex Hormozy, Lisa Nichols, anyone that's out there that has money and has a huge company, whether you like it or not or realize it or not, you are setting a standard that for decades people will build businesses on. So are you setting the right one? It's not just I'm making money and my company's doing this. You are setting a rhetoric and a narrative for the working environment for a very long time. And knowing that that responsibility is yours right now. It's not just it's for my company, because with social media and with just all the access that we have to how people build brands and build businesses and how we see that now, with great power comes great responsibility. And for
Spider-Man.
Right. I love me some superheroes. And I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs don't realize that they are making an impact that is going to be something that impacts future generations by how they lead. And so why I do what I do is I know the power that entrepreneurs and companies have. And if we can all just focus on how to build more sustainability and satisfaction and really truly be leaders, we are going to shift the narrative for decades, if not centuries, especially with how things run now. And I want that. There's just power in it, and I love it.
Big time.
I love it.
Yeah. It's fired up.
It's fired up.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I'd say my takeaways on this chat is that I really believe that everybody is a leader in one way, shape, or form.
Yep.
And it's important for us to all reflect on how we show up, reflect on the gaps, get the feedback from the appropriate sources. Because we might not leave a massive legacy impact on the entire world, but we do all matter. So I think with a little bit of intention and guidance, we can all make a difference, big or small. Every single person.
Yeah, you have the power to impact so many people. Just you impacting another person.
We all have the power.
Yeah.
Well, I highly recommend any of the business owners out there listening, reach out to Taylor, book a meeting, just chat, see what it's like, because they can do that.
Yes, they can.
Awesome. And folks, my name's Greg Carlson, your host of the Elite League podcast, where we take industry experts, talk about what it's actually like to do what they do. This was really awesome.
It's great to be here. This is so fun.
Yeah, this is a crystal clear depiction of what you do, and
Yep.
It's amazing. Nice work.
Thank you.
Yeah. Make sure to hit that thumbs up, smash that subscribe button, and most importantly, everybody, stay fired up. Till next time.